Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Claire Khan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I welcome the opportunity to speak in the second reading of this bill. It's an important opportunity to talk about the absolute, I guess, the hope that is out there in the communities throughout New Zealand that this bill is going through the House as quickly as possible, and that it will go some way to addressing some of the terrible harm that's being done in our community from the psychoactive substances that are prevalent. And I'd like to first of all just put on the record, if it hasn't been put on the record already, to congratulate our spokesperson on this bill, Ian Lees-Galloway, who has done such a great job on pushing this forward, and who has it was him last year who said very loudly that this change should be happening and should have happened sooner, and he said in fact that we think it's ridiculous that we've basically been experimenting on our kids by allowing the substances to come on the shelf and then trying to constantly chase our tails trying to get them off the shelf again. And that absolutely encapsulates just what's been happening in communities throughout New Zealand. And while I certainly do also acknowledge my colleague Louisa Wall, who's been working extremely hard in her community in Manurewa, there are many other communities for which this is a terrible scourge and in which there are terrible harms being done. And I want to talk about some of the harm that's being done in my community in Dunedin on this bill. But before I do that, I also would like to just point out that it must be said that this government has not taken that opportunity to completely overhaul the Misuse of Drugs Act of 1975. 1975, when many of the people who are standing in this House weren't even born, and that many things have actually moved on since then, and not all of the members of the House. Some of them have been there. Some of them were sitting in this House probably in 1975, but only a very few, Mr. Speaker. But certainly times have changed, and as we know that the composition of drugs have changed, the way that they're being taken have changed, and our ability to respond to drug abuse has been changed, and the only thing that hasn't changed is the law. So I want to just say what actually brought me to be speaking about this particular issue today. Earlier this year, it was the community that came into my office and raised this with me, and a stream of people from the community about the absolute importance of making change happen and making it change quickly, and the impact that it's had on so many young people in the community. For example, the woman who came into my office to offer me her support and give me her story on how she had been affected by taking these drugs and had just come out of a psychiatric institution.
Order. Time has come for the House to rise, so this debate is interrupted and set down for resumption next sitting day, and the House will stand adjourned until 2 p.m. next Tuesday, the 2nd of July 2013. Have a safe weekend, everybody.
Bye.